This out?
What's that?
Have we shared this thing out? We're live, but have we
Oh
shared
yeah,
this out?
that's fine. I shared it on Google. I've not shared it on Twitter. I got Twitter open right now. I got
Oh, yeah.
TweetDeck open.
You're gonna
And
start to sound like Chris Perillo does half the time.
yeah. That's okay.
Very
Um,
informal intros.
yeah. Okay.
But yeah, anyways, welcome back to another News in General live stream. This one we're going to be talking about the crisis in Russia and Ukraine. It's more of a crisis in the Ukraine, especially with the Russians invading. I'm sure you've read about that, Jason.
Oh yeah.
So,
one thing. Could you send me the link to the Hangout here so I can share it? Or
the view?
to the show. Yeah, the show.
Oh yeah, see how we do that now.
That way I can send it to the Twitters and the Facebookers.
All right, get that on Facebook here.
But yeah, guys, I'm back. I'm back and kind of rejuvenated in a way.
Yeah, it's. You can imagine it's a little different for you.
Yeah, it's a little different. My fingers are telling me it's a little different.
Yeah. So get this. I was reading about oh yeah, I'm supposed to send you this thing first. You know, I do one thing at a time.
Multitasking, Cole.
Yeah, I sent you that on Facebook. I gotta
Okay,
plug in my computer now. Damn.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at like Cole said, the Ukraine, Russia, as well as North Korea.
North Korea, yeah.
Yeah. Just gonna talk about that.
Kim Jong loser.
Yeah.
Oh wait, he's gonna nuke. Nuke us now because I said that.
You better be careful over there, the Canadian. But basically, we're going to talk about that, discuss our opinions on that, and also get your opinions on that as well. Yeah.
So one fact I do want to, I was reading this,
yeah.
I guess the Russians have already sent over 16,000 of their troops into the Ukraine. And it's not a very fair battle either, because get this, I'm reading from Fox News, of all places.
Yeah.
But they cited their sources, so you can probably believe them.
Probably.
Fox News has a history of, not being the best. But anyways, get this. Russia spends over $100 billion on their military. But take a wild guess about how much the Ukraine spends on their military.
So Russia spends $100 billion. I'd say half that.
No, $1.27 billion actually.
Wow.
So it's not a very fair fight.
Not a very fair fight. No.
And their equipment is not at all modern. They're actually
outdated. It's outdated.
Cold War era equipment. And to get this, according to Fox News, 3 out of the 31 combat airplanes needing modernization have been completed. Only 3 have been completed, and I guess 10 out of 22 tanks that needed modernization have been completed. And this is between 2006 and 2011. Only 10 of those. So almost half. And then, of course, their combat airplanes, it's 3.
What I want to bring up is that one of the I believe ambassadors or Russian officials or whatever was on one of the media sources over there talking on I believe CNN or Fox News or whatever, and he was saying that there's not Russian military forces aren't invading the country. How can you say that when you got videos of all these forces with Russian license plates and insignias and stuff invading the country?
You just do it. Go ahead.
And basically walking around and basically fighting these people and giving orders out and basically trying to take over the whole communities there. And then he just say that, oh, it's okay, guys, calm down. There's no Russian invasion going on here, guys. Everything's okay. How is that? How can he say that when thousands of people are tweeting pictures of all these protests and all these Russian forces taking over and busting into government buildings and stuff like that? How can you say that? Well, I mean, he's an official. He's sitting there lying right there on TV.
Funny enough, a book I was reading called UFOs in Wartime kind of answered that question for me. They're kind of taking a page out of the U.S. book, and like you see with a lot of UFOs during wartime, they're all the planet Venus, although on radar, the planet Venus. And I think the same thing's probably going on there. Planet could never appear on radar, but the same thing's happening there. It's just a system of denial. They see it, it didn't happen. This didn't happen. No, it's not happening. It does not exist. You're just seeing things. They're making stuff up. They're fake. They want attention. You've seen that with the UFOs 50 years ago.
Yeah.
They're just doing it with humans today.
That's very true. I just found it kind of funny that he was blatantly lie like that. Like, I mean,
Well, all governments do that. Like I said, they had press conferences coming out about the UFOs. Of course, they forget the fact that it was on radar, but it was the planet Venus temperature inversion. And I really enjoyed this book.
How can the planet Venus be on radar?
Exactly. And apparently, according to the National Weather Service at that time, a temperature inversion would not be a solid object on radar.
Yeah.
So
wow. So Cole's getting into the UFO world as well.
It's a really good book, and
that's good.
It's very similar to what's going on there. And of course, none of it exists. You're all liars. Yeah. Or of course, if you're Vladimir Putin, the new government in Ukraine is a bunch of thugs and criminals. I'm not sure if you heard, but you know what the G8 is, right?
Yeah, the G8 summit.
Yeah. Now, it was supposed to be in Sochi. They're going to cancel those plans for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah. I wonder why. I know.
Well, yeah, I wonder why. It'd be pretty sad if they...
It's kind of convenient, too, all this stuff, the Olympics over there, and now all of a sudden this is happening with the Russian
right after the Olympics, though,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right after.
It's probably a good thing, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, John.
I was surprised that it didn't happen during it. Maybe
it's
a
very good thing, actually.
Yeah.
Probably. So yeah, John Kerry. You know who he is, right? U.S. government.
Yeah, John Kerry. Yeah.
Suggested removing Russia from the G8. Yeah. And then they're also suggesting
that'll be a big hindrance on our economy and stuff. I
don't think so, and because we don't import much from there. Actually, wouldn't affect Russia much either. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But they'd also want to impose sanctions on them. Visa restrictions, and of course Canada's already started that by removing our ambassador from the country, so he's gone.
way to go, Canada!
but see, according to some news article I read, I'm great at citing sources. Some news article. Good. See how well they teach me in school? That since Russia mainly exports stuff to Europe. Sanctions from the West really wouldn't affect them too much. Of course, the UK is part of it. France is. France, of course, being part of the EU. Yeah. So it would affect them to an extent. Yeah. Because they export oil, gas, agricultural type stuff. Yeah, but exactly. For us here in North America, it probably wouldn't. They don't export anything here anyways.
Yeah, the S&P took a big dip there, I heard.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the S&P took a dip. Let me try to find the article here. And just like coal, I have a hard time... giving the sources for...
Yeah, I'm gonna write these sources. I thought about writing sources on my notes page, and I got Fox
News. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Worst day in a month for Dow S&P as sentiment hit by crisis in Ukraine. Actually, I'm gonna note this. This is an article from CNBC.
Oh yeah.
And basically, they're discussing, how all this uprising in the Ukraine and the protests in Ukraine and how it basically is affecting the markets. The Pisani's market, to be specific, the stocks sink on Ukraine's fears. So yeah, it is definitely going to hurt Europe.
Oh, for sure, and I think Europe's already in trouble too. You look at it, and all their markets are crashing, or their money isn't worth anything. In some places, not all. But I think this is going to be a very complicated issue, and I think the U.S. needs to stay out of it. Yeah. Because the U.S. likes to send in military in a lot of situations.
That's the thing is how do you decide whether let's go and help these people out or let's not, let's let them do what they're doing, How do you decide that? Like,
we make those decisions. We made those decisions with the Middle East as well, and they all hate the U.S. now, so it didn't work out very well.
Exactly. But there comes a time where you have to help these people out,
Yeah, and
you can't you can't let them get slaughtered, and you can't let Russia take over a whole country,
Oh yeah, I agree. But the U.S. tends to get out of hand when they to help people. Bombs everywhere, blow them up.
Oh, absolutely. I think the best thing to do would be do a meeting and stuff. Do like get everybody together, get all the world leaders together, and try to talk this stuff out. That's never going to happen because they're politicians. Never going to happen.
Oh yeah, they just lied about it. Apparently, Barack Obama there.
All the governments will have to shut down. That way, they can go and do their thing before they can make a decision.
I was reading. I guess Barack Obama had a very long
90 minutes. Yeah.
Lengthy discussion with Putin on the phone. Yeah. Of course, is that going to do anything? No, because he's not listening. Now, see if President Bush was in it, just bomb him.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, get out the football.
There's no discussion. Just bomb him. That's the solution. But it's not a very fair fight for the Ukraine. Of course, they're invading.
That's why I'm saying the United States, in a way, should help.
I see your point. And of course, the Russians are invading a particular part of the Ukraine that is pro-Russia.
Yep.
So at least, so they probably won't be killing that many people, at least yet. But if it continues further, it would be a problem. Of course, the Ukraine's military, very underfunded, ancient equipment. I guess most of their communication is analog.
They've been through a lot. They've gone through a lot. They're tough people there.
Oh, yeah.
They're very tough people.
And
they're very strong towards their country.
Oh, for sure.
Besides the pro-Russian guys.
The real terrorists.
Yeah, there you go.
And I guess most of their communications equipment is analog, except for 10% of it.
Wow. So
that's digital.
So they do need some help, or they
according
need
to the West,
get this under control.
Yeah, the situation is dire according to the West, which it is.
Yeah.
But I think the West needs to tread carefully too. Because there's helping, and then there's just killing.
And then there's World War III, where
exactly.
End the world.
Think about it. If the Russia starts bombing other countries near it, they're going to start fighting. Everyone's going to start fighting.
Let's not just take a look at Russia, and you got to look at all these other countries that are having problems. Look at Syria, Egypt. Look at North Korea. Look at even China. China is basically on Russia's side. So that would be Russia, China, possibly North Korea, all versus the United States and whoever is allies with us.
Which is a lot of people. Some people will try to argue with the U.S. got no allies. You're an idiot if you think they got no allies, because there's a lot of allies. And so the U.S. It wouldn't be an unfair battle for the U.S. at all. They got a lot of military equipment to solve that problem.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah.
But that's in a way I'm glad we do that. We do have that. In a way I'm not, because it could be used for, like you said, like a long time ago we said, it could be used for good and bad.
For sure.
In a way here we can go over there and use all of our military might and basically slaughter and kill everybody and just take it over for our own sake. But then again, what would be easier? What would be easier? Go in and bomb everybody and just be done with it, or would it be easier to go over there and just try to talk it out and try to,
Unfortunately,
do the
whole hell of a lot of bombs on them is simpler.
Yeah, do the whole politician type thing,
Yeah. No, they'll just put on a big show while they're bombing the shit out of them.
This is gonna take an impact on not just the Ukraine and not just Russia. It's gonna take an impact on Europe, on the United States, on North America. It's gonna take an impact on everybody. World.
If the U.S. or even the West doesn't play the role there properly, they're going to look very bad in terms of, on a global scale. And you look at all these countries where these,
we have a bad rep. For sure. Yeah, I mean, look at Iraq and all the other countries that we invaded and basically took over and destroyed.
The U.S. has destroyed a lot of countries with democracy.
Yeah, exactly.
And, the sad thing is they bring democracy to these countries, yet it doesn't work in their own country.
Yeah, they can't even make decisions on themselves.
And you look at all these countries. Look at the Ukraine. Look at Syria. The people are waking up, realizing the government's a piece of garbage. Obviously, in Syria, it's been going on for quite a number of years now, 3 years.
Yeah.
Because, they've realized the government's a piece of garbage, and the government's been bombing the shit out of their own people.
Exactly.
You look at the Ukraine. They finally realized that the government was corrupt and useless.
Oh yeah, they're definitely they're one of the guys that was over there that was basically appointed in charge or whatever. He was a big multi-billionaire that was head of owner of one of the football clubs over there. He was a owner of a mine or some type of I forget what it was. Don't quote me on this, but he was basically just a big time entrepreneur who had a lot of money and had a lot of power. He was basically put in charge. He had no military experience, but he was put in charge because of all the money and all the power that he had. Now I'm not sure what he was designated, if he was security designation or whatever he was designated, but he had some people under him basically.
Yeah.
He basically tell them what to do and stuff.
So the rest of the world
in the government.
Yeah. the rest of the world is waking up to the tyranny that they're living in.
Yes.
Yet here in North America, we're like,
Yep.
oh, praise the famous people. Oh,
Yep.
praise Obama.
Yeah.
You know, the Oscars yesterday. Praise the, whatever the people.
I didn't even
today,
watch it. I didn't even watch it.
I didn't even pay attention to it. I haven't read anything about it.
Yeah.
And I heard some people talking about it today. It's like, why don't you care this much about politics and news and what's actually going on in the world?
Exactly.
And then I started talking about, down in the U.S., they're building prison camps for the American people.
Oh, yeah, that was a great video you shared with me. I've actually seen that. I've seen that when it was aired. It was aired on True TV, and I did see that, and I did record it.
Yeah, I thought it was, and of course, I thought it was really cool when Alex Jones came out. And then I told her, they got fields of hundreds of thousands of plastic coffins.
Yeah,
and this one person I was talking to, like, ooh, that's scary. Like,
and they're trying to say that that's grave liners. Why would a grave liner need to have a cap and be able to be sealed up and everything?
Yeah, and then they're
a grave liner is just
away that night.
yeah, they were trucked out of there fast. They seen the camera crews and big trucks came and freaking piled them up, and these were thousands of coffins too.
Yeah, and of course, everyone says, the government will never do anything bad to you. Look at Syria, they're doing bad stuff to their own people.
Yeah.
Look at the Ukraine, they were doing bad stuff to the people. Now Russians, and I guess not Vladimir Putin, the former Russian president, they got kicked on out of there. Not Russian, Ukraine.
Kharkiv.
I don't know what it was, but apparently he sent a letter to Vladimir Putin urging that they use their military forces to bring back peace to the Ukraine by, of course, bringing it back to its former tyranny.
So why would the Ukrainian president want that? I mean...
Well, because he probably believes he's doing something really, really good. He's mentally ill, of course, like most of these people. And what I want to mention here is, of course, more so related to back here at home. Like I was saying, the government, they always claim that the government never does anything bad to you. And like I mentioned, they got fields of coffins, prison camps, residential centers that look like prisons. And of course, those don't exist if you watch that video. But in North Korea,
I recommend Jesse Ventura and Alex Jones, definitely.
In North Korea, they have a little constitution that says they are guaranteed freedom of speech and freedom of the press.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, you look at their country. They don't have access to the internet. They don't have access to freedoms. They don't have access to anything. But their constitution says they do.
So basically, they're two-facing it.
So, you look at the U.S. and, they have those rights, and we do in Canada.
Yeah.
And you have the right to freedom of speech and freedom of press as long as you have a favorable brainwashed opinion.
Well, unless if you have a lot of money and a lot of power.
Oh, yeah, a lot of money and power. That solves most of your problems, too. The police come knocking at your door. Here's some money, guys. Go buy some donuts. But, so, the government will definitely do bad things to you.
Yeah. Here. Russia blocks access to 13 web communities of Ukrainian nationalists.
And I think it's very powerful that the rest of the world is waking up. But I think it's very, very sad to see that, the same thing's happening here. And nobody notices. Yeah. Nobody cares. You tell them, hey, I was looking at some news stories. The police in the U.S. has a history of bombing neighborhoods and churches. Oh, that's great. Good job. You tell someone, like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. How's Justin Bieber doing?
Yeah, of course. I think Justin Bieber, he makes Canada look bad because people like Bieber. Of course, if you watch CNN, I would almost bet that probably the Oscars is probably overshadowing what's going on in Russia and the Ukraine. They're probably sitting there for the next 45 to 50 minutes talking about what's happening with the Oscars. It's on right now. I guess Piers Morgan's still on, but I'm sure he's rambling on about that. And
oh yeah, Piers Morgan.
The show isn't canceled yet, and his show's on right now. And
oh yeah, Piers Morgan live. Yep.
And I'm sure he's talking. I guess he did some interviews with them. Which is something he can do, apparently. He can get big-name interviews, which is great. Yeah. Why don't you get big-name interviews with these politicians every now and then?
Yes.
Or just every now and then. He's done it. I think he got Bush on there or something, but, more than just every now and then. But the chances are they're focusing on the Oscars, and nobody will mention what's going on in that part of the world, except for maybe 5 minutes. You look at the newspaper, it'll be front-page news for the next week or two, and then it'll be at the back of the newspaper, and then eventually you never hear about it again. Isn't that great how news works?
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely.
It's all about entertainment.
Yeah. I want to discuss something here about this 13 web communities being blocked in Ukraine. Russian communications watchdog has blocked access to 13 communities of Ukrainian nationalist organizations on Kotakia in Contact social media website. Intar Tass reported the activities of Ukrainian nationalist groups and directly provoked the Russian people to stage act of terrorism and participate in unauthorized mass rallies. So basically, they're saying these social media websites are basically provoking terrorism. Now, is that ever going to be down the road for Facebook? Is that
I was about to say, I bet you one day there'd be some sort of stupid law, sadly in the U.S., there'd probably be some sort of stupid law, and of course things can happen just like that up here. It's just like the NSA thing, you tell people, about it. No, it's only the U.S. There's this thing in Canada called the CSIC, and they spy on us too. Up here in Canada, it's like NSA Canada. But,
what's it called? CISPA?
No, it's called CSEC.
Oh, CSEC.
Yeah, and they do that here, but you look at it, and what the hell was I going to say again? I get too focused on things.
That's right.
Where was I?
You was talking about CISA, about the social media, how Facebook.
And eventually, at some point, they'll probably pass a law in the U.S. going, or at least try to. It says Facebook has been known to be utilized in various terror threats and terror plots. Therefore, we have to ban access to it. Of course, could it happen in Russia? Yeah, probably sooner than later, because you can talk about anything on there. Of course, Facebook allegedly might report you to the proper authorities if you do, but those proper authorities usually just come around and kill you or beat the snot out of you. So calling them is not recommended.
Well, one thing I do want to note. Sorry for cutting in.
No, that's fine. I've done anyways.
You know how the Russian supposedly masked gunmen, how they're unmarked, how they're like undesignated, like they don't say, oh, I'm Russian military or whatever. They're just kind of like a suited up guy with a gun, basically.
Like the American police, yeah.
Yeah, there's no insignia, there's no designation to where they could identify themselves, basically.
Right.
So who's to say that this isn't undercover black ops or some type of black government or something like that?
Shadow government.
Yeah, it's like a shadow government or something like that, going in and posing as Russian troops or posing as just Ukrainian terrorists or protesters or whatever. Who's to say that they're not doing this just to cause an uprising and cause dismay in Europe?
It's very, very believable. I personally can't think of anything offhand like that. But what I can think of, once we get back to these UFO things, there's lots of instances of these men in black showing up, asking questions, and they're never seen again. And does anybody know where they came from? No. And could it be something like that? Sure. Of course, not necessarily men in black, but it could be these people that are showing up could be working for some sort of organization that has nothing to do with any government.
Exactly.
At least that we know of.
It's a possibility.
It's a very, very, very good possibility. And of course, the shadow government's been admitted in government before. Various politicians in the U.S. have mentioned a shadow government. Of course, they never mention it again afterwards, but it is mentioned every now and then. When they slip up. So I'd say it's very possible.
That's one thing Philip said is they kind of slipped up. Russia was wanting to take over and wanting to start World War III, but they kind of screwed up with the Ukraine and kind of let the ball all go, or let the I don't know what the term is for that. But basically let the secret out, basically.
Right.
Kind of early.
And I just seen this looking through the news again from the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah, it's actually government owned, but it is Crown Corporation. Listen to this title of this news story. John Baird, who's our Foreign Affairs Minister, compares Russia's actions in Ukraine to Nazi invasion of Czechoslovakia.
Wow, that's a bit drastic and a little, that's a little bit drastic.
I want to read this. It's quite a lengthy article. I think it looks to be very comprehensive. I do want to read that, but what I say is wrong? Probably not.
I mean, holy cow, that's going pretty out there with that.
Could we see the Russians trying to take over the world?
Let me just say one thing. Here's an article here. Russia and China in agreement on the Ukraine. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov discussed Ukraine with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi on Monday, and their views coincided on the situation there. The Russian foreign minister said the two veto-wielding UN Security Council members would stay in close contact on this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Reuters reported, by the way.
And you see...
So China and Russia are basically in agreement with
There's already
Ukraine.
A partnership there with one another.
Yeah.
And they're working on Ukraine. But what if it was like a Nazi type thing? You know, first of all, the Russian people really don't have that many rights.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Of course, you know, they have rights, just like we do. We have rights.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they actually acknowledge them, but we have them.
Yeah.
And, you know, you look at what happened in Nazi Germany. They had rights. But the point is, you know, they tried to take over the world. And of course, Hitler did. And of course, things fell out. But could the Russians try to do the same? Because Vladimir Putin does whatever he wants at this point. Doesn't listen to anyone. And of course, the G8 countries have been saying, hey, you know what, we're going to kick you out if you keep doing this shit.
And he doesn't care. He's like, whatever,
we're going to continue doing this anyways. Yeah. You know, and of course, the G20 apparently is more important. But could it be something like what happened in Germany with Hitler? And,
it's possible.
You know, I think they could try to start some big war. Of course, that would be World War III, of course.
It'd be World War III. It'd be deadly World War III. A lot of people would die.
Thankfully, we've gotten rid of most of our nuclear weapons. Just imagine if World War III taking place in the 60s.
If all of our nukes, all the nukes in the world went off, the world would be unlivable. Basically, you'd have to live underground for.
And just be thankful we didn't do that in the 60s.
Yeah.
Because there wouldn't be no living underground either if we did it in the 60s.
The ground would be gone.
And of course the UFOs apparently showed up around a lot of these nuclear weapons.
Yeah, they try to dismantle the.
I thought it was reading this book, of course, going off topic. I think it's kind of in line.
No, it's totally fine. This isn't like a set subject.
In one case in this book, like I said, UFOs in wartime. Look it up; it's a good book. But the Allies and the Germans, you know, they were fighting in some battle, and what happens when they see this?
Foo Fighters.
The Foo Fighter shows up.
Yeah.
And it's hovering, it's observing. Both sides shoot at it.
so that basically goes to say with the Ronald was it Ronald Reagan? I believe the Ronald Reagan speech when he basically said if the world was basically under threat from outside world, would we all unite and take on that outside threat from an alien race? And basically that kind of says it right there. That's freaking they went after the Foo Fighter instead of
both sides were shooting at this thing, and of course. You know, you look at those situations, and it's very, very odd. Because we shoot anything at these things, and nothing happens. We can't shoot them down, you know, for some reason. And they like observing us for some reason, especially during war. Apparently, they like observing our wars. You know, like, is it something foreign to them? Like, are we going to see more of these, you know, Foo Fighters show up in Russia, in the Ukraine? I'd like to see if any UFO sightings come out of it, because, you know, at that time in World War II, they thought, you know, that maybe they were German. Things, but of course after the war it was proven it wasn't German. And of course, secret Nazi,
the Bell, I believe it was called.
And during that, of course, that battle proves it wasn't a German thing. Why would the Germans shoot at their own technology?
Exactly.
And in other wars, you know, they thought the Japanese, actually, no, the same war, actually, the Japanese, they thought they had stuff, and eventually after the war, they asked them, you know, if they'd been in the area, and they said, we honestly have no idea what you're talking about.
Wow.
So. And of course, you know, after the war, they just labeled these people as crazies. You know, it never happened. The planet Venus, all that stuff.
It bounced off your airplane and it caused you to be blinded for a second and you seen some mirage.
You're crazy. Like, I wonder why there's this, this policy of deception in the government. You know, in Canada, he's 90 years old now.
Wait. Policy of deception towards UFOs or just policy and deception in general?
UFOs and just about everything else, really, in between. You know, one of our foreign defense ministers, he came out and said that we've already been visited by aliens. We're already talking to these aliens.
I've seen that on TV, on YouTube, actually.
The guy's 90 years old. You know, could he be crazy? Sure. Does he have anything to lose, though? No. He's 90. Maybe that's why he's trying to come out.
Think of how many top officials and top military people have come out and said this. Even astronauts have come out and said it. That they've seen extraterrestrials, they've seen UFOs in the space shuttle, even orbiting our planet as well. They've come out and said this So why would they be lying? They're astronauts. They're military personnel. They're police officers.
And then in some situations, I thought it was really funny, but they say, oh, it was probably a star. And someone asks them, so you hire people, and give them guns and weapons that can't tell a flying object from a star?
Exactly. There's a couple cases that I want you to know. Take a look at Kecksburg. Take a look at that. Take a look at Nova Scotia, 1964.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I've seen that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Canadian story.
Yeah. It was a good one. Take a look at Ohio. Was it? I gotta look the exact counties up. But there was at least 6 different police officers from 6 different counties witnessed the same craft.
Wow.
Now that's six different police officers.
What they say? The cops didn't see anything, or the cops were seeing things, or the cops were crazy?
No, they admitted it.
They admitted there was something?
Yeah, they admitted there was something there. They just couldn't. They don't know what it was.
And
the craft was humongous.
It's scary what they cover up. And in one situation I was reading, it was in the 50s or 60s. They had a bunch of cameras rolling this one day. They were doing something. They were filming. So they had these cameras going, and they had pictures of this UFO, videos of this UFO, everything, clear as day pictures. Nobody's ever seen them.
Yeah, we got this, we got that. And
they wanted the film. The higher ups wanted the film developed, and no copies were to be made.
I would love to get my hands on all the secret documents and secret pictures and stuff from military base. Oh man.
And of course, everything's titled "Does Not Exist."
Yep. Ultra top secret.
Yeah, and I think if this thing in Russia and Ukraine continues, we may very well see some of these UFOs come out again.
Well, you mean if there's more
if there's more violence, they seem to like showing up during wars, we're about to have a new war, because this thing in Russia is not about the end. They're going to send more Russian troops in, and unfortunately, I hate to say it, as much as I'd much rather see the U.S. and the West just stay the hell out of it. Eventually, they're going to come in, or one of their allies is going to get bombed.
Yeah.
Then
the
U.S. can have no choice.
This is the starting point right here, guys. This incident right here with the Ukraine, Russia, and the United States. This is a starting point for what's to come. What is to come? Maybe World War III, maybe the end of the world.
The funny thing is, I remember watching this in 2013, just a few months ago. Yeah. Alex Jones was saying 2014 is going to be a revolutionary year.
Wow.
3 months in, we're already getting there.
Yeah. And now, please quote me if I'm wrong, any of the viewers. Also, have you heard of Gog Magog in the Bible?
No.
Basically, where end of the world begins, or the apocalypse, I believe it's said to begin. And it's said to be in the Ukraine, I believe. Ukraine or Turkey.
Right. Well, I think Turkey's more biblical, isn't it?
Yeah. What's that?
Turkey's kind of more of the biblical thing. Of course, Israel is.
No. But basically, they said they gave the directions and basically kind of hinted in the Bible and in scriptures where Gog Magog would be at. Now, some speculate. It's been long speculated that it was in the Ukraine, and it's been speculated that. But now new theories come out saying that it's in Turkey somewhere. But this is a new theory, Well,
Turkey's right on the edge, right beside Syria, and of course, the violence has been spilling over into Turkey, which is unfortunate. It is a nice country.
It's interesting how this is happening here in Ukraine, and that's supposed to be where the Armageddon happens.
But look at all these revolutions that are going. People are waking up to the tyranny. Of course, this happens all the time. It's a cycle. We live through the tyrannies, we get pissed off at the tyranny, and we just move into a new system of tyranny. But
when are governments gonna learn? Okay.
Maybe we just don't need government. Maybe we just don't need countries to begin with.
Yes, thank you, Cole.
Just think about it.
I agree with you. Thank you.
Like you're allowed to live. You're a citizen in the U.S. I'm a citizen in Canada, and you're allowed to freely live in whatever country. Go to the U.S. You got 6 months to get the fuck out, unless you're a permanent resident.
Okay, I'm heading to Canada, guys. Bye.
Of course, it's really, you don't have the freedom to really live anywhere you want, because there's so much paperwork you got to do to become a citizen of a country, a permanent resident. It's a pain in the ass. You might as well just stay in Canada or the U.S. And technically, we're all citizens of the earth.
Yeah, so why not just open borders to everywhere?
And think about it. I remember I was taking pictures of those geese and those ducks, and you marvel at those things. You look at them, they go south everywhere. There's no borders. The U.S.
Exactly.
Border Patrol is shooting them down
Yeah.
because they're not stopping at the border
Yeah.
crossing.
That's a great analogy. Yeah,
And
I think we should open up all borders. I
yeah,
mean, it should be just, we're all citizens of the planet.
we
It
are
shouldn't
the
be.
only.
Thank you, Cole. I've said this. I don't know why you're agreeing with me now or saying this now, but I've said this, a few months
Yeah,
ago about how we should, open borders and how we should become, basically, kind of like a one world type deal. Not saying one world government. I'm saying, you know, we're all citizens of the earth. We're not citizens of a country. We're citizens of the earth, and we should start thinking like that. Because
right.
if we all work together instead of working as separate countries, we'd be more prosperous if we would all work as a one planet.
You know,
Okay. Yeah.
we humans should be able to work together. You look at any other animal, they really aren't. You know, they don't adhere to borders. There is no borders for animals. They don't think that this is one area, this is one country.
Yeah.
I'm a citizen of this
And,
area. No.
and I want to quickly say this for the people out there that are saying, "Oh, you're a Satanist. You're talking about one world government. You're talking about blasphemy and all this stuff." Listen, God created us to be all equal and created us to get along with one another. Being separate and having separate countries and being on our own, that's not getting along with one another. Okay?
Humans are very weird. We
Yeah,
hate one another. I think about it. All of our technological advances came from finding better and more efficient ways to kill one another.
Yeah. Wow. That's
Most of what we have,
that says a lot about us.
Our vehicles, we use those in wars. Our guns,
Yeah.
Where do you think gun came from? Thousands of years of technological evolution, and finally
yeah.
somebody decided, hey, we can put bullets through these things, and we can shoot people. It's better than a bow and arrow, see? And eventually people realized, we can put multiple bullets in these things. That's much better than that little,
Yeah, yeah.
And then they realized, we don't only need bullets, we need big missiles. It continues on and on. It's technological development came with wars. And
Okay, I say we terraform Mars or we terraform the moon or something like that, and all the open-minded people go there. All the people that are wanting to combine and wanting to, as I said, be like-minded and not be separate and not be lying and doing all this crap that the government's doing. I'll go there.
vomits.
Yeah, I'll go there. We'll go ahead and show them how it's done, how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, and you look at animals.
And I tell you what, 500 years will be more advanced than Earth would be.
Yeah, and the only borders that animals really have, at least land animals, is a continent.
There's a continent, exactly. Yeah.
And birds, generally, they stick to a continent, and fish, they stick to a lake or an ocean. But
so you're open to United States and Canada being combined?
I think it'd be a neat idea. I think if the governments were able to work together, or if we kept separate governments, and this somehow worked out. Either way, it could work. But I think an open border makes sense.
In my book I'm writing, it's basically I'm writing about. Damn, I just totally lost my train of thought. You had me saying something there. You're saying something, and then you got my brain triggered to say something, and I totally forgot what it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I forgot.
I think about what open borders could do for innovation, medical things, medical advances, everything really. Of course, if both countries were together, one of us would have to adopt to one another's medical system, or we just wouldn't. And
that's you just reminded me there. Basically, the book I'm writing, Revolution Before Evolution, it's called. And basically there was a revolution, uprising. The citizens overthrew their governments, and all the governments got overthrown. And then after that, evolution started happening. People started evolving into more supreme people, more supreme beings. But basically, the revolution, they overthrew their governments, and they became better. They were able to take care of the things that we need to get taken care of: our mail, our garbage, our health care. Because think about it, are you going to learn something because you have to, or because you want to?
Because you want to. That's why you know, some of the shit they teach me in school I don't learn. Because I waste a few hours of my day because it's interesting. And then of course if you aren't interested, you're bored, you stare off into space, you have ADHD.
so out of the population of the United States, how many people do you think would want to learn to become a doctor, or learn to heal people and help people?
A lot of people would, and of course, looking at education.
So,
it's second, university, college, it's expensive. Nobody can afford that shit.
Yeah.
100,000 for 4 years.
How about we just wipe out currency altogether, and we do things because we want to, not because we have to? Because the reason why we have to do it is because we need the money back. We want to do it because we want to better ourselves. We want to better other people. We want to help people. And people are going to say, "Oh, that's never going to work."
Because we're so used to a system. We've never seen anything different.
How can you say that when you've never seen how the other way, basically?
Like, imagine walking into a Walmart and everything was free. No price, no checkouts, nothing. Wouldn't that be something?
Well, and that goes saying, well, how are you going to get your mail? How are you going to go to the doctors? People gotta want to work. Well, yeah, people are going to want to help people. People are going to want to do good. And if there's lots of people out there in the world that want to do good and want to help other people, and that's the problem nowadays is people are only doing this because they want the money back. Because
I've been looking at university
that's the only
shit.
Money is the only way to get stuff.
I hate to say this, but some of this university shit is totally unfeasible. You look at the price and that'd be great. I'd love to do that, but fuck, I could buy a nice house with that money.
But think of how much good you could do with that knowledge.
Exactly.
Think of how much you could give back to society.
You only spend 15 years in debt, living on the streets. But once you're done being homeless and finally get it paid off and living under an overpass, then you'll get to help people. That's how our system works today. And you look at our healthcare here, and some people say that Canada's healthcare system wouldn't work in the U.S. because there's simply too many people. But since our healthcare system is based off taxes, it actually would work. There's more people, but they all still pay taxes. Mm-hmm. So it'd just be the same healthcare system on a larger scale.
Yeah.
But it's still all paid for.
Hey, we're not forgetting about Mexico, guys. Don't forget it. We're not forgetting about Mexico. We combine you guys too.
Yeah, of course.
Open up the borders.
A lot of reforms there first.
A lot of clearing out of the cartels. Yeah.
Yeah. It's scary there, but if things could change there, I'd support.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
That'd be interesting. Like freely traveling across North America, blowing past the border. Look at the European Union. Do you think you stop at some stupid border crossing? No, you just keep on going.
Just keep on going. Yeah.
And of course here you look at these border towns and big fence goes through them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, Texas. Arizona.
Yeah, we got it here too. Like, that's a nice town. Oh, I want to go to that store. Oh wait, that's on the U.S. side.
Yeah. All right, guys. I want to bring up one last topic here.
North Korea?
Yeah, North Korea. North Korea is launching their Scud 2 short-range missiles. Excuse me. North Korea fired 2 short-range missiles into the sea Monday, in the second such launch in less than a week, Associated Press said. Citing South Korean officials, the launches came amid ongoing annual military exercises between Seoul and Washington. Seoul said that North Korea last Thursday fired 4 short-range Scud missiles with a range of more than 200 kilometers into the northeastern waters, which is the Sea of Japan, I believe.
Right.
That is freaking. That's why I kind of have a conspiracy going, where maybe North Korea, China, and Russia are all ready to take over the world and all ready
the new Nazi type thing.
Yeah, they're all ready to combine their forces and just hammer down on us, hammer down on our Western civilization, and just try to take over everything.
But, in North Korea they got their people brainwashed like they did in Nazi Germany.
It's like a freaking. Have you seen like videos of like Korea and stuff like?
Not really. Yeah, like I said here, their constitution says they have freedom of speech and freedom of press.
I've seen a video a while ago, years ago actually, of I believe it was in North Korea or South Korea. I don't know how I seen it or how I got it, but I seen a video, and it looked like a ghost town. Like it looked like nobody was around, and it was like a big city. I was in a big city. Well, I wasn't, but the video was like being taken in a big city, in Korea, or it's supposedly in North Korea, and it was a ghost town. But there was a couple. Then all of a sudden, a couple people started walking, and then there was a couple people on bikes, and you could tell, they were Korean. Um, but it was definitely very, I don't know, what would you, Twilight Zone-y kind of. Like
Right here, you see a big city and you see lots of people.
This was like a huge. There were buildings everywhere and crap, and it's just like, where's all the damn people at, And then the cameras were there for a while, and then
I'm surprised they're even able to record there.
Yeah, and then 30 minutes passes, and then all of a sudden you see like a guy on a bike, and kids walking and stuff like that. They're all dressed all nice and stuff, and it was just really eerie, basically. But now I'm not sure if this was in North Korea or not, or if this was on the border.
It could have been China too, and I'll explain why in a minute.
It was very, very eerie. But yeah, go ahead.
In China, they're building a whole bunch of cities, big cities, for a future population. So basically, they got these big, huge ghost cities.
Was nobody empty, there?
Brand new cities. They're spending all this money.
Now, what did we just talk about? We just talked about Russia, China, taking over.
Yeah,
why would they need to be expanding? Why would they need to be building these big cities? Because
they are literally just building cities for the future. They're empty. Very few people live there, and they're huge cities.
I love to know what they have going on underground. Like, do they got underground like bases? Like freaking, what if Korea is just above surface? It looks like a normal old North Korea.
Weird tyranny.
Yeah, but underground, that's where all the stuff happens.
Yeah, they could be doing nuclear stuff underground.
Yeah, and then they just when the world gets ready to blow up, basically, they go underground and send off their nukes to the United States or wherever else they want to, and they could blow up everybody else, but they'd be fine underground because their whole population is living underground.
Yeah, they don't even have to send nukes anymore to screw us up. You look at what's going on in Japan, and all the nuclear stuff is heading over there.
Yeah.
Just do something like that. Have one of your nuclear power plants, get hit by a tsunami. But
yeah, what do you think of North Korea and Russia and China all taking over the world? What do you think about
North Korea kind of scares me. You sit there, you kind of make fun of him. You're like, yeah, Kim Jong idiot, Kim Jong Il loser. You think he's some little fucking poor loser that got bullied in school.
He could be a mastermind, evil scientist.
And he could be a genius. He could have all these weird, screwed up ideas, and unfortunately, who knows what he's capable of.
I know, because it's such a confined area in the world we don't know much about.
You make fun of him, like, yeah, he won't do anything, send over little, paper airplanes to bomb us, but but in actuality, they really
maybe North Korea has been in control of the UFO studies. Maybe North Korea actually has an underground base. And they're all
maybe they're working with the aliens.
Advanced technologies and stuff.
Yeah, which probably isn't.
Who knows?
I wouldn't say for sure, but if they're partnering with Russia, they have more military power. Putting $100 billion every year into their military, they gotta have something decent.
Then
what was the other country? China. Was it China? And of course, China. They're building all these ghost cities, so they must have a lot of money if they're building all these ghost cities.
China has the manpower too. They have the manpower and the capability
for sure.
Doing a lot of damage.
Surprisingly enough, North Korea has quite the manpower too.
Yeah,
in their military. There's not no joke in North Korea. They might have, we might think they have joke equipment, but they have one hell of a large number of soldiers, and who knows what they have underground.
So Cole, what is your final thoughts on the whole Russia and Ukraine?
I think it's something we need to watch. I think we should stay clear of it for now.
Yeah.
We need to keep an eye on it, especially with North Korea, especially if there's some relations there. With China, but do we need to watch it for sure? Do we need to immediately go in there with bombs? No. Unless they start attacking, an ally or something like that, or it starts spreading over outside of the Ukraine. Just invading a Russian pro-Russian area in the Ukraine. If it spreads further, then maybe. If of course we don't bomb the Ukraine, you bomb. Obviously it doesn't make any sense. So they'll probably try and do that.
Bomb the people we're trying to help.
Or if they start bombing other nations, if they start bombing the rest of Europe, then it's obviously an issue that the allied countries need to look at, including the U.S. Of course, the U.S. has got quite the equipment. Of course, we all work together in that sense. So it'll be interesting, that's for sure. Scary, but maybe Alex Jones is right. This will be a revolutionary year. He said that,
man.
December 2013. There's big changes coming on.
Don't tell me that. I got all this health problems I got to deal with. I don't need to worry about my well-being and stuff.
Yeah, it's scary.
With the wars.
Hopefully nothing comes of it. Hopefully they can resolve it. But unfortunately, with intelligence comes human intelligence comes a very, very dark side. In the animal world, what do you do? The animal fights with the other animal, and if it loses, it either dies or goes away. In the human world, we don't fight one another in person. We just send over drones. Yeah. Think about it, the U.S. doesn't even have to go there. They just send over drones, and it's over with. There's no casualties, at least on the American side. And the only casualties would be, electronic,
Electronic, millions of dollars.
Yeah, sure, millions of dollars, but at least you still have humans around. Yeah. It's like playing video games, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Is it sick? Sure. But I think drones are going to be the future. And unfortunately, wouldn't it be scary if Russia, China, North Korea had drones that were better than ours?
Oh.
And what if those countries, allied together, sent over drones to the West, to North America? What the hell would we do? Obviously, we got NORAD and all that, so they might try to shoot them down before they make it here. But if we fail,
our ships, our fleet, Navy fleet.
Of course, we're going to attempt to shoot them down. Yeah. But
we got some guns behind us. I mean, our submarines and our Navy.
See, Canada has various weapons too. Canada has played very big roles in certain wars, like World War II, surprisingly. Although, of course, some history books say Canada did nothing.
Oh, really?
Basically, but Canada did a fair bit in those wars, and of course, today we still have a fair bit of military equipment, and we also have the U.S. So it works out kind of nice. And the allied countries together are very, very powerful. But unfortunately, do we know the true nature of the countries you mentioned, Russia, China, and North Korea? No, we don't. No. Because North Korea, we just sit there and make fun of. Like, of course, little baby, Kim Jong Un will, sure he'll do something, make fun of him. But one day he could, come out with a big, huge arsenal that makes, the West,
look like
decades behind. It could be very, very scary. What the hell do we do then? We spent however many years making fun of the guy, and now he's about to show us all how it's done.
So, do you think World War III is going to start in 2014?
That's a question I don't think we can answer.
You think it's a possibility?
It's a possibility every year. Of course, this year it's a little more of a possibility.
Yeah, high possibility.
I hope it doesn't. Unfortunately, with weapons we have today, it's not just shooting arrows at one another anymore.
No.
Firing guns at one another, of course, we've seen in the past World Wars. No. And of course, by World War II, we were already playing with nuclear weapons, as Japan was witness to, and of course, right after that, they immediately apologized because they had
I can't believe the destructive power.
There was a name they used, I don't remember, but they basically said it was unfair, which it was. Did it solve the problem? Sure, it did. Unfortunately, thankfully they didn't do it in the 60s. We've gotten rid of a lot of our nuclear weapons, and of course Russia signed the treaties too. But some scribble on some paper, some political scribble doesn't
mean nothing. They can still have stockpiles of that crap.
Yeah, like hey, Jason, you can give me something to sign. I can scribble on it, and I won't do anything. Trust me.
Yeah.
But could they be doing stuff underground? Sure, and so could the rest of those countries. Like North Korea hasn't signed anything. They give a damn what the West thinks. Yeah. And who knows? They have all this outdated equipment that they let everybody see all this outdated equipment. But you got a point. What's underground? What's in these buildings? What happens if one day they come out with a state-of-the-art equipment the day they come and bomb us?
End of the world for the United States.
Of course, the U.S. should be able to defend itself, I think.
They would, but not unless it's like highly advanced, like UFO type stuff.
The UFO type stuff, they shoot at it and doesn't do anything.
What the heck is this?
More Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
But what has North Korea been doing? Over the past however many years. You gotta wonder what's China been doing. Yeah. China obviously they got tanks on the streets.
They march down the streets and
Russia, they really could give a damn what the West thinks of them. You gotta wonder why. They're not very concerned about what the West thinks. They're not very concerned about the fact that there could be sanctions imposed, or if the U.S. gets really pissed off, war. They're not concerned. Why aren't they concerned?
exactly why.
You don't get concerned when you know that no harm can come.
Is there something in place, you know, that's going to be set upon in 2014?
What
like,
if there's other countries that are, you know, part of it? Because
yeah,
Russia, China,
it's just
North
not
Korea.
them. No, it's just not them.
I could see for sure,
countries.
definitely, I could see, you know, a partnership with them. It's not at all out of the question.
Yeah.
But what other countries would, you know, maybe would the Middle East get involved? Because there's a lot of places in the Middle East that really despise the U.S.
Iran.
And of course, a lot of these countries haven't started any wars. The U.S. just came in and bombed the snot on them, but you know, because the U.S. is helping them, of course, Yeah. And could they want to get something back? You know, of course, you know, maybe 9/11 wasn't getting back. You know, of course, what happened that day was sad, but unfortunately, it's very, very plausible that the U.S. had its hand in that. You know, you look at a lot of things. You look at what's his name? Wow, I can't remember the guy's name. The black guy in the '60s. Black rights and all, you know, brothers and sisters. Martin Luther King. I can't believe I remembered that. Couldn't remember that.
That's right.
And you know, the U.S. had a hand in killing him. It was proven.
Yeah.
You know, in some court case, of course.
Well, that was back when racial.
Oh yeah, of course.
Really
high. Of course, Martin Luther King, you know, led the change.
Yeah.
Sad that he, you know, died. He's 65. He was shot, but 1965 is when he was shot, and. I'm sure you can walk. I've seen videos today. They walk around. You hear Martin Luther King just died. Oh my God! Nobody even knows.
Yeah.
I had to look this one up, but what the hell was his name though? I don't remember, but they were running. No, I give it context. So I gotta give it name now. Hang on, because if I continue with my story, it won't make any sense unless I give it context. The real Alex Jones. That's his YouTube channel.
Real Alex Jones.
I believe so, anyways. And he had a video up, and I don't remember what it was. I had to look it up, what the cause of death of this one particular guy is. They changed YouTube again.
Yeah, you didn't know that? I did a video on that.
I haven't been on the desktop site in ages.
Yeah, they changed
the iPads for him, man. And,
you like it? Do you like it?
Actually, it looks not bad.
Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah, it actually looks like the iPad app. It's a slightly different color scheme. So let's see here. What was it? Of course, Alex Jones covering the Vladimir Putin. But you gotta wonder why he's not at all afraid of anything, you know.
Yeah.
When you don't want to listen to the U.S., you know, you gotta have something to back that up, because you don't sit there and not listen to the U.S. because you know that they can, you know, bomb the hell out of you.
Put a hurting on you. Yeah, put a hurting on you.
You know, it's just, you don't play your cards right with the U.S., you're gonna be sorry.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'll admit that the U.S. definitely has their.
Now I wonder if Russia's gonna push the limits and then you know, recall their troops and say, okay, we're done. They're gonna see how far they can go. See how far they can go, and then say, okay, we're gonna, you know, pull back before we start blowing each other up.
Yeah, it's really sad. I gotta find this damn video. It's me and my history in the iPad, but I really hope it doesn't get to the point where there has to be military intervention from the West, and I agree with what you said there in the chat, by the way.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I should have acknowledged it.
No, you could have just said yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. But it's terrifying, you know, especially, you know, of course, we're proud, you know, in Canada, say, you know, we've never had any wars in Canadian soil, you know, except for the ones really, really far in the past.
Yeah.
You know,
you probably had some
you call it the 7 Years' War down there.
Yeah. You probably had some native or
all
Indians
those.
And, yeah,
you know, the
those
wars we've had. So is the U.S. But one day, could these wars, you know, we always think we're safe because we got these big oceans. One day, those oceans aren't going to protect us.
Oh God, no.
And it's been admitted, especially with the
when we start getting satellite, when we start getting satellite warfare or space warfare. There's no hiding from that.
Yeah, and they even admit that what is it, that that the oceans aren't good enough. That, you know, eventually we will feel the effects of it.
Jeez.
Which is terrifying when you think about it. Because we think, we're safe here. You know, look where we live, right? And, you know, unfortunately, it's not.
Well, we're gonna have to start advancing our technology. That way, we can freaking get out in space.
Yeah,
and live on different terraform different planets and stuff, because we're destroying our own planet here.
Oh yeah, this is a sad planet. I can't find it, but either way, these people didn't know a thing.
Yeah. One quick thing to let everyone know, and just to let you know as well. Do you think it would be a good idea for me and you to do maybe a live show, just talking conspiracy theories and just giving it our all, just giving everything?
Good one, yeah. When do you want to?
And anything goes. I mean, UFOs, underground bases,
Planet
Nibiru, the sun.
Prison camps for
prison
everyday
camps,
people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, anything goes.
It's just terrifying. Yeah, I can't find it, but
what do you think of that?
The world's going. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
The world is going in a scary direction. Of course, Russia and Ukraine are proving it.
Yeah.
The Ukraine at least is waking up. Unfortunately, I think Russia is going to put a big hamper on that one, which is terrifying. But we should probably wrap it up here. That sounds good to you?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, so I'm not quite sure how we're going to wrap this one up, but thanks for watching.
Yeah.
If anyone who's watching, which apparently is nobody, but maybe somebody later on will watch this. Do the research. I want to read some more articles on this and get even more familiar. I want to watch this topic very closely, especially what we mentioned tonight. Pay attention to the topic and see what happens, because I think
pay attention to our Facebook, because I'm going to be posting stuff on our Facebook and our Twitter.
Do the research.
Yeah. Facebook.com/newsingeneral and Twitter.com/newsingeneral.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting. By the way, we got 328 likes on Facebook, which is great.
Yeah. 228? Wow.
328.
320. Oh, 328.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting year, I think.
Oh yeah. Russia.
I wonder what's going to happen in Syria, because it's kind of been the same old, really. The government continues to bomb their own people, and I think it's going to be interesting to see where it goes.
Well, that's the thing.
It's going to wrap up eventually.
Yeah, that's the thing, is these other countries like Egypt and Syria and Iran, they're kind of being quiet, because Russia and Ukraine is kind of blown up, and we're talking about them now. But what's going on with all these other places,
Yeah, I hate to say this will also be used as a story to distract from what's going on elsewhere in the world.
Yeah.
And which is a shame. But there's everybody all over the world, people are waking up. But here in the West, we don't see it. We don't see it that it's actually happening right in our backyard.
It's taking longer. I mean, I'm awake. You're awake as well.
There's people all over North America that realize, hey, this isn't working. And
but it's hard for the United States, the U.S. citizens to become awake because of all the bullcrap media.
I was watching one show on National Geographic Channel, which is a good channel, I think.
Oh, yes, I love it.
And they had one show, it was kind of like, the power went out, and for a very, very extended period of time, kind of showing what would happen. And it was almost like they're preparing you for what's going to happen anyways. Of course, news stories later came out that the power grid in North America is vulnerable to attacks.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny they say this. You've seen it, right? Because that story came out just weeks after.
Yeah,
and,
I've seen that.
And they show the show, and of course, the FEMA camps and all. And, FEMA camps. FEMA's going to take over. They're so great, and this and that. Like, FEMA. That's who we're going to trust.
Yeah.
Of course, they don't explain all the different FEMA regions in the U.S. I'm not going to tell you about those.
10. There's 10 of them. Yeah.
10 of those. And they were just preparing you.
I'm kind of shocked that you haven't seen that video before.
Which? Oh, the one I sent to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen it on YouTube. Like, this is going to be interesting.
Oh yeah, man. I got tons of stuff I could throw at you.
Right on.
Yeah, if you want me to, let me know. I'll send you a bunch of stuff.
And it's scary that, sure, me and you see it, and a lot of other people do. That's why there's these organizations. There's Cop Block for police brutality stuff. There's a lot of different Patriot websites for U.S. stuff. And I hate to say it, but you look in Canada, like Police State Canada, right? Or nothing, except for some stories here and there. Poorly reported on in Canada, which is something I want to, hopefully look into more. It's poorly reported in Canada. Canada's version, the NSA spies on us. Nobody wants to talk about it. Except for the CBC every now and then, surprisingly, and they're government owned. Yeah, but of course, they say, we collect metadata, but it's top secret. We won't tell you what we collect.
That's ridiculous.
And it is. It's scary. And of course, here nobody wants to talk about it. You tell somebody about, the police. It's a U.S. problem. No, it's not.
Oh yeah, we do. We do 331 likes.
Yeah. Oh, really? Sweet. It's already up there. And you tell people that it's a U.S. problem. It's the United States government. Oh, they're fine. It's either they're a really big problem or they're fine. I've heard people go, yeah, Obama, I like him. Yeah, okay. That's a problem.
Obama's the one that Oprah Winfrey likes Obama.
Yeah, well,
I don't.
And of course, you're racist if you don't agree with Obama.
Yeah.
I like calling him that. It is scary, but we're going to continue this on another live stream.
Yes.
So that is it, and you went through all the social media, so see you in the next one.
Peace. But basically, we're going to talk about that, discuss our opinions on that, and also get your opinions on that as well. Yeah.
So one fact I was reading this,
yeah.
I guess the Russians have already sent over 16,000 of their troops into the Ukraine. And it's not a very fair battle either, because get this, coming from Fox News, of all places.
Yeah.
But they cited their sources, so you can probably believe them.
Probably.
Fox News has a history of, not being the best. But anyways, get this. Russia spends over $100 billion on their military. But take a wild guess about how much the Ukraine spends on their military.
So Russia spends $100 billion. I'd say half that.
No, $1.27 billion actually.
Wow.
So it's not a very fair fight.
Not a very fair fight. No.
And their equipment is not at all modern. They're actually
outdated. It's outdated.
Cold War era equipment. And to get this, according to Fox News, the 3 out of the 31 combat airplanes needing modernization have been completed. Only 3 have been completed, and I guess 10 out of 22 tanks that needed modernization have been completed. And this is between 2006 and 2011. Only 10 of those, so almost half. And then, of course, they're combat airplanes. It's 3.
What I want to bring up is that one of the I believe ambassadors or Russian officials or whatever was on one of the media sources over there talking on I believe CNN or Fox News or whatever, and he was saying that there's not Russian military forces aren't invading the country. How can you say that when you got videos of all these forces with Russian...
France, of course, being part of the EU, so it would affect them to an extent.
Yeah.
Because they export oil, gas, agricultural type stuff.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
For us here in North America, it probably wouldn't, export anything here anyways.
Yeah, the S&P took a big dip there, I heard.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the S&P took a dip. Let me try to find the article here. And just like coal, I have a hard time giving the sources for...
Yeah, I'm gonna write these sources. I thought about writing sources on my notes page, and I got Fox News.
Here we go, guys. Here we go. Worst day in a month for Dow S&P as sentiment hit by crisis in Ukraine. Actually, I'm gonna note this. This is an article from CNBC.
Oh yeah.
And basically, they're discussing, how all this uprising in the Ukraine and the protests in Ukraine and how it basically is affecting the markets.
Right.
The Pisani's market, to be specific, the stocks sink on Ukraine's fears. So yeah, it is definitely going to hurt Europe.
Oh, for sure, and I think Europe's already in trouble too. You look at it, and all their markets are now crashing, or their money isn't worth anything. In some places, not all. But I think this is going to be a very complicated issue, and I think the U.S. needs to stay out of it.
Yeah.
Because the U.S. likes to send in military in a lot of situations.
That's the thing is how do you decide whether let's go and help these people out or let's not, let's let them do what they're doing, How do you decide that? Like,
we make those decisions. We made those decisions with the Middle East as well, and they all hate the U.S. now, so it didn't work out very well.
Exactly. But there comes a time where you have to help these people out. License plates and insignias and stuff invading the country.
You just do it. Go ahead.
And basically walking around and basically fighting these people and giving orders out and basically trying to take over the whole communities there. And then he just say that, it's okay, guys, calm down. There's no Russian invasion going on here, guys. Everything's okay. How is that? How can he say that when thousands of people are tweeting pictures of all these protests and all these Russian forces taking over and busting into government buildings and stuff like that? How can you say that? Well, I mean, he's an official. He's sitting there lying right there on TV.
Funny enough, a book I was reading called UFOs in Wartime kind of answered that question for me. They're kind of taking a page out of the U.S. book, and like you see with a lot of UFOs during wartime, they're all the planet Venus, although on radar, the planet Venus. And I think the same thing's probably going on there. Planet could never appear on radar, but the same thing's happening there. It's just a system of denial. They see it, it didn't happen. This didn't happen. No, it's not happening. It does not exist. You're just seeing things. They're making stuff up. They're fake. They want attention. You've seen that with the UFOs 50 years ago. Yeah. They're just doing it with humans today.
That's very true. That's very true. I just found it kind of funny that he was blatantly lie like that. Like, I mean.
Well, all governments do that. Like I said, they had press conferences coming out about the UFOs. Of course, they forget the fact that it was on radar, but it was the planet Venus temperature inversion. And I really enjoyed this book.
How can the planet Venus be on radar?
Exactly. And apparently, according to the National Weather Service at that time, a temperature inversion would not be a solid object on radar.
Yeah.
So
wow. So Cole's getting into the UFO world as well.
It's a really good book, and
that's good.
It's very similar to what's going on there. And of course, none of it exists. You're all liars. Yeah. Or, and of course, if you're Vladimir Putin, the new government in Ukraine is a bunch of thugs and criminals. And I'm not sure if you heard, but you know what the G8 is, right?
Yeah, the G8 summit.
Yeah. Now, it was supposed to be in Sochi. They're going to cancel those plans for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah. I wonder why. I know.
Well, yeah, I wonder why. It'd be pretty sad if they.
It's kind of convenient too. All this stuff, the Olympics over there, and now all of a sudden this is happening with the Russian.
Right after the Olympics, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right after.
It's probably a good thing, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, John.
I was surprised that it didn't happen during it. Maybe
it's a very good thing, actually.
Yeah.
Probably. So yeah, John Kerry. You know who he is, right? U.S. government.
Yeah, John Kerry. Yeah.
Suggested removing Russia from the G8.
Yeah.
And then they're also suggesting
that'll be a big hindrance on our economy and stuff. I
don't think so, and because we don't import much from there. Actually, wouldn't affect Russia much either. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But they also want to impose sanctions on them, visa restrictions, and of course Canada's already started that by removing our ambassador from the country. So he's gone.
way to go, Canada!
But see, according to some news article I read. Yeah, I'm great at citing sources. Some news articles. Good. See how well they teach me in school? That since Russia mainly exports stuff to Europe, sanctions from the West really wouldn't affect them too much. Of course, the UK is part of it. This out?
What's that?
Have we shared this thing out? We're live, but have we shared this out?
That's fine. I shared it on Google. I've not shared it on Twitter. I got Twitter open right now. I got TweetDeck open.
You're gonna start to sound like Chris Perillo does half the time.
Yeah. That's okay.
Very informal intros.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah. Anyways, welcome back to another News in General live stream. This one we're gonna be talking about the crisis in Russia and Ukraine. It's more of a crisis in the Ukraine, especially with the Russians invading. I'm sure you've read about that, Jason.
Oh yeah. One thing, could you send me the link to the Hangout here so I can share the show? Yeah, the show.
Oh yeah, see how we do that now.
That way I can send it to the Twitters and the Facebookers.
All right, get that on Facebook here.
But yeah, guys, I'm back. And kind of rejuvenated in a way.
Yeah, it's. You can imagine it's a little different for you.
Yeah, it's a little different. My fingers are telling me it's a little different.
Yeah. So get this. I was reading about I'm supposed to send you this thing first. I do one thing at a time.
Multitasking, Cole.
Yeah, I sent you that on Facebook. I gotta plug in my computer now. Damn.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at like Cole said, the Ukraine, Russia, as well as North Korea.
North Korea,
Yeah. Just gonna talk about that.
Kim Jong loser.
Yeah.
Wait, he's gonna nuke.
Yeah,
Nuke us now because I said that.
You better be careful over there, the Canadian.